Back in the small village in Oyo State, there was a young boy named Tunde. Tunde did not grow up with a silver spoon. He grew up with a plastic spoon that was often empty. His father, Babatunde, was a man whose back was permanently bent from years of carrying heavy crates at a warehouse. His mother, who was fondly called Iyatunde, had skin that looked like toasted leather because she spent hours every day frying akara by the roadside, breathing in soot just to make some money. Iyatunde and Babatunde had just one goal, which was to make sure that Tunde gets admission in the big city of Lagos where his life would be transformed. The day came when he was finally going to Lagos. His dad and mom saw him off to the bus park where he would board a bus. Then the father gently handed him an envelope and said to him, "My son, this money is not just paper. It is my blood and your mother's sweat. Go and become the man we couldn't be." Tunde was so grateful to his parents and promised to repay them for their kindness. When he got to Lagos, he was so excited and ready to take over the city. In school, he did so well and graduated top of his class at the end of 4 years. His parents were so happy that they went to Lagos to celebrate in the joy of their son. So, after his graduation, Tunde, who was so brilliant, became hungry and very ruthless. Within 5 years, he had built a software company that handled logistics for the biggest oil companies in Nigeria. But as his bank balance grew, his shame grew with it also. He started seeing his parents as baggage. When Iyatunde called him with her old small phone that was tied with a rubber band, all he would see is home flashing on the screen, and he would suddenly feel a wave of irritation. "Tunde, my prince," she would say in her thick, unrefined accent, "I sent you a small bag of gari, rice, beans, and some fishes through the motor park. Have you picked it up?" "Mommy, I buy premium groceries now," he would snap, his voice cold. "Stop sending me things. And please stop calling me during work hours. I have a reputation to keep." Eventually, he blocked his mother. He told his elite friends that his parents died in a car crash years ago. It was easier to be an orphan than to be the son of an akara seller. The height of Tunde's arrogance came when he met Ijeoma. She was the daughter of a chief, a woman who never stepped foot in a public bus. Tunde made sure he hid his parents and his true identity from Ijeoma's family because he wasn't proud of them. He even changed his name to Tony just to hide where he's coming from. When Tunde started having rich people around him, and when he thought that life was great, he completely forgot his aging parents. He never sent anything back home. He even forgot the promise he made to them the day he was boarding a bus to Lagos. Tunde felt that every sacrifices his parents made were his entitlement, so he didn't have to pay back for it. So, Tunde and Ijeoma's relationship kept progressing until he was sure that he was ready to settle with her. So Tunde announced that his engagement was going to be in few weeks' time, and unfortunately for him, a neighbor in the village saw the post on his social media and quickly ran to show Tunde's parents. They were so sad that after all their sacrifices, their son didn't bother to invite them to his introduction party. So they decided to surprise their son. Tunde spent millions on the engagement party at a five-star hotel in Victoria Island. The hall was a sea of white lace, expensive champagne, and the creme de la creme of Lagos society. During the engagement party, Tunde stood at the center, glowing in his bespoke suit, holding Ijeoma's hand, ready to pop the big question. Then, the heavy gold doors at the back of the hall swung open. Suddenly, the music stopped, and there was an absolute silence in the room as two elderly people stood there, looking poor and wretched from a different century. Babatunde was wearing his Sunday best, an outfit from 1994, a faded, oversized coat, and trousers that stopped at his ankles. Iyatunde had a cheap, colorful wrapper tied around her waist, and on her head was a heavy basin wrapped in a sack. They had used their life savings to buy a congratulatory gift for their son, gallons of pure palm oil and a live goat. "Tunde, my son," Iyatunde screamed. Her face lightened up with pure joy and love. She began to dance, her worn-out slippers slapping against the marble floor. The guests, they turned in disgust, and Ijeoma's father raised an eyebrow and said, "Tony, who are these people?" Tunde felt a heat crawl up his neck. He looked at his mother, her cracked heels, the dirt under her fingernails, and he felt a sickening wave of disgust. He didn't see the woman who had starved so that he could eat. He saw a threat to his brand. Ijeoma cried and asked, "Tony, what's going on?" But he was so dumbfounded. Suddenly, Tunde's voice thundered through the microphone. "Security!" Then two bouncers rushed forward. Tunde looked at his father in the eye, the same man who had walked barefoot so that Tunde could have shoes, and said, "Get these poor-looking scammers out of here right now. I don't know who they are. They've been stalking me for weeks trying to get money. Throw them out immediately." "Tunde," Babatunde's voice was weak. "Is it the hunger that made you forget, or is it the money?" "Tunde, my son, it is also," Mommy cried out, her voice cracking. The bouncers did not care. Tunde watched as security dragged his parents into the rain. He felt a sting in his heart, but his pride was a thicker shield. Iyatunde began to wail, not because of the rough handling, but because the son she had carried for 9 months and suffered for had looked at them like they were trash. They were pushed out into the heavy downpour outside the hall, their gift of palm oil spilled on the pavement, bleeding red into the rain. People around felt for how Babatunde and Iyatunde were being treated, but they were too arrogant to help them because they were looking so poor and dirty. Now, after the disgrace, they shamefully went straight to the park, leaving behind everything. For the first time, Babatunde cried because this was the worst humiliation in his entire life as a man. Iyatunde cried throughout the journey from Lagos to Oyo State. They went back to their simple lives, living like people that don't have a child. People mocked them, while some sympathized with them. But the universe has a way of balancing the scales. So, 8 months after the wedding that never happened, Ijeoma's father had become suspicious of Tunde. So, he decided to pull out as a major shareholder in Tunde's company. Then Tunde's world began to rot. Unknowing to him, his chief technology officer had been stealing data and selling it to his competitors. Overnight, Tunde's biggest contracts were cancelled. Then came the audit. It turned out that Tunde's aggressive expansion had been funded by high-interest loans he could not repay. The bank moved in and gave him 4 months to pay up. If not, everything he owned would be taken from him. At exactly 4 months, he struggled to keep up appearances, but the bank lost their patience and they came in. His cars were towed, his Lekki apartments were padlocked, his friends stopped picking up his calls. So Ijeoma quickly moved on to a senator's son without a second thought. Tunde, popularly known as Tony or Big T, appeared in various news headlines as his downfall trended everywhere. At this point, Tunde was left with nothing. He found himself standing on the street with a single suitcase, the same way he had arrived in Lagos years ago. He spent 3 nights sleeping under the bridge of Ojuelegba, clutching his bag, watching the same beggars he used to despise. None of his fake friends came through for him because they don't want their reputations to be dented if they were seen with Tunde. As his stomach cramped and his designer clothes turned grey with dust, he saw his mother's cheerful face every time he closed his eyes. He remembered the taste of her akara, the only thing that had kept him alive as a child. With no pride left, Tunde sold his expensive gold wristwatch to a malam. He used the money to go get a bus ticket back to Oyo State. So he arrived in the village at dusk. The air was thick with the smell of wood smoke, the same familiar smell he used to know as a kid. He walked down the narrow path to his father's house, his head bowed. He expected the villagers to mock him, and they did. Some laughed at him, while some even threw things at him for being an ungrateful son. He expected his father to chase him away with a cutlass and his mother to pour a boiling oil on him. He was prepared for the worst. When he reached the door, it was hanging by one hinge. Inside the house, a small kerosene lamp flickered. Baba Tunde was sitting on a wooden stool behind the house, sharpening a knife, while Iya Tunde was sorting beans. They looked older and very frail, but they still survived. As soon as Tunde saw his parents, he fell to his knees in the muddy ground. He didn't say, "I am back." He didn't say, "I am Tony." He just started crying. He crawled on his knees toward his father and mother and was crying so bitterly. "I am a dog," Tunde sobbed. "I am a beast. Don't forgive me. Just let me sleep in the shade with the goats. Baba, Mommy, I am so sorry. Please forgive me for how badly I treated you people. After everything you went through for me, I am so sorry." While he was still crying, he felt a hand, rough, calloused, and warm, rest on his head. "You are not a dog, neither are you a beast," Iya Tunde whispered, her own tears falling onto his neck. "You were just lost, my son. The city borrowed your heart for a while, but I knew you would bring it back sooner or later." Baba Tunde gave a deep sigh. Standing up with difficulty, he went to a small pot and poured out a bowl of watery yam porridge. Then he set it before Tunde. "Eat," the old man said. "A man cannot repent on an empty stomach. A tree that forgets his roots will always be toppled by the first wind it encounters. Welcome back home, my son. Tomorrow we go to the farm. Then you will learn how to be a son again before you try to be a king." My friends, we have come to the end of this story today. We need to know that success is a beautiful house, but your parents are the foundation. Never trade the people who loved you when you were nothing for the applause of people who only love you when you are something. The height of your greatness is measured by how well you treat those at the bottom. Did Tunde deserve a second chance? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story of pride and redemption, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your family. And don't forget to subscribe to Kim's African Tales for more stories that touch the soul and teaches as well. Remember, your roots are your strength. Stay humble and we will see you in the next.